12 weeks are going to be a boot camp, is going to lead to the rest of your life. You should be able to go through this hardship. So when it comes to becoming a lifestyle, that now seems easy. First 12 weeks, I'm going to eliminate yogurt and I'm going to eliminate the fruit. So you're not going to get any of that. And all the breads, I don't care if it's whole wheat roti, you're not having it.
So Chris, you are known as world's best transformation coach. Arguably or unarguably, I'll just let you know that you are the best for the transformation given your client testimonials and all. So I want you to just guide us to your protocol regarding the 12-week transformation which you do, your trademark transformation which you go for any client. So for Indians who are the majority of our viewers, just let us know, guide us through your protocol for this transformation.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the lifestyle. It isn't just the training or the supplementation or the nutrition. It's looking further outside that with that individual. What is the stress that they are under? Do they have several kids? Do they have a sedentary job? Are they sat down all the time? Do they have very little sleep? Do they go to bed really late? Are they not drinking enough water? And they instead taking a lot of stimulants through caffeine? All of these can have a certain effect on the success of their transformation, because if they're not sleeping, or if they're eating refined vegetable oils and they're eating sugar and they're not, they're sleeping late as well, which, as we know in India, everybody goes to bed really, really late. This is all stress, which raises cortisol, meaning they're not in an optimized position to be anabolic, to put on muscle, or now they're obviously optimized to be catabolic, lose muscle, and become insulin resistant, meaning they're going to add fat or not lose fat as efficiently. A lot of people think, hey, I can get to the gym 5 times a week. Why am I not transforming? Well, it's probably because of these several factors.
And what are the brief protocols like diet, nutrition, workout plans? We know that we can't just specify or do a blanket treatment or prescribe this, that all of you can do this. And everyone is highly personal, and every workout, every nutrition plan should be highly personal, cater to the client's needs. But for example, there is a 25-year-old Indian guy. You have multiple trips here in India, so you know what are the socio-cultural aspects of Indians. So I just want to know a sample workout or sample diet plan according to your this 12-week transformation.
It's obviously going to be a little bit different for everybody, but if I've got a 25-year-old Indian who wants to burn fat, dependent if they're vegan or veg or non-veg, this is the general program that I'm going to supply. It's going to be 5 to 6 meals a day, eating within every 3 hours, basically, from the moment they wake up to the time that they go to bed. There's going to be a form of protein in every single one of those meals, or I don't count it as a meal. So that protein could be fish, it could be poultry, it could be egg whites, it could be whey protein. There's going to be a combination of different types. Of course, there could be paneer if that person's vegetarian or something like that, or tofu or chickpeas, lentils. And then there's going to be a form of carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates could come in a form of oats or rice or potatoes. But I wouldn't have any carbohydrates in the last 2 meals, because that provides the body with a lot of energy. But if you're going to go to sleep some hours later, that energy is going to be stored as body fat, so I'll generally cut them out. But there will be some form of fibrous carbohydrates in most meals. So those could be leafy greens. It could be broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms, asparagus, lettuce, cucumbers, whatever. So, you're trying to eat the rainbow to get plenty of micronutrients on your plate and plenty of fiber as well. And then there'll be a form of fat in some of those meals. Not all of those meals, maybe a couple of those meals, maybe the last 2 that don't have the carbohydrates. So that could be some nuts or some extra virgin olive oil, or it could be some avocado, or, anything like that, or egg yolks. And that would be the general consensus. There'd be a form of cardiovascular exercise that would be done every day for, say, 35, 40 minutes. Okay, and that cardiovascular exercise could be speed walking, cycling, on a Stairmaster, on an elliptical machine, could be a cross trainer, a rower, things like that. And then the weight training would generally be 5 days a week weight training for an hour each time. And we generally split up the body parts. So it could be like back and biceps, chest and triceps, legs and shoulders, things like that, where we split up 1 to 2 body parts per workout. That would be generally the consensus. I'd have that person sleep for about 8 hours a night, going to bed before 10 p.m. The longer we stay up, during the evening, the more our cortisol levels will be raised for an extended amount of time. We want those, and we become insulin resistant in the evening as well. So we don't assimilate food as well, and we hold it as body fat. So I always try to get my clients to sleep before 10 p.m. and then drinking up to a gallon of water a day, especially during the summertime in India. It gets very hot and humid.
Yep.
So, you want to make sure that you're hydrated, because you're probably perspiring when you're working out and outside of the gym as well. So it's essential that you get those essential, your fluids back up. And obviously you have coconut water there on every doorstep. So you can get a coconut water in a day as well to make sure you've got your electrolytes in.
So Chris, over the years, you have done, I think, hundreds or maybe 1,000 transformation up till now. And there will be a lot of Indians also. So you might be knowing that there is a growing Indian metabolic crisis. There is a rise of insulin resistance and diabetes, as well as pre-diabetic, like we can call metabolic syndrome. So Indians are generally considered as skinny fat. They might look really thin, but the visceral fat and the bad fat, what we say here, is really bad, and it is creating havoc to their metabolic health. So what are your prescriptions for such people? Because there are a lot of genetic variations from an American standpoint and Indian body standpoint. So I want to know more about that.
It doesn't matter for me personally if that person is Mexican, if they're European, if they're Indian, if they're American. I train everybody the same way. What you don't have in, India is the diabetic capital of the world, as you probably know right now. And, in the 1940s, particularly down the south, it was one of the places that was a blue zone, meaning people lived to a disproportionate age. They were very, very healthy. But then with the inclusion of the Western influence, and now, with the seed oils and the high carbohydrates, people are getting bigger and they're becoming diabetic, or pre-diabetic. But the major thing that I see in India is that there's just a lot of oils and a lot of carbohydrates, very, very little protein. Protein not only feeds our skin, our hair, our nails, but our muscles as well. So that's why you're seeing the skinny fat. They're not having much protein at all, but they're having all these carbohydrates and all these fats. Whereas in the US, you do have an obesity crisis, there's no doubt about it. However, they eat a lot more protein here. And that's the issue that we run into. So the number one thing that I suggest is balance out the ratio. If you're going to have that much carbohydrates, I'm showing my fist here, you're going to have that much protein as well. Otherwise, don't count it as a meal. People generally have a huge amount of carbohydrates and a little portion of protein. So you need to change that and get rid of the oily sauces. Because as you know, in India, most of the foods are disguised in a sauce. I can't even taste the chicken or taste the fish because it's disguised and hidden in a sauce. So get rid of a lot of these oily sauces. Continue to use the spices for sure. And, eliminate all of the seed oils. We're having most restaurants that you go to now cook their food in vegetable oils, which is highly inflammatory. And it causes an insulin spike. You do have your natural alternatives like ghee, which are good, it's healthy, but in moderation, because you still have 9 calories per gram.
So before we go into the meat of the things like diet, nutrition, fat loss and all that, I just want to know what's the difference between transformation, fat to fit transformation, and the maintenance of it? Because we are thinking about now longevity and health span. So it is only possible when it is sustainable for the entire life till the person dies. So what's the difference of your approach from a maintenance perspective as opposed to the regular transformation which you pursue?
For sure. So good question. So the majority of the people that I train are over years. They just like the accountability. They don't want the decision-making fatigue. They just want to be told what to do. But I'm not going to say, okay, this is going to be our 3-year goal, because people don't generally have a sense of urgency to be so accurate and meticulous and disciplined with their protocol if you give them such a long distance goal. So this is what I'll say. Okay, we can train for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. However, we're going to start working with micro goals. And I generally start with a 3-month transformation. However, there's a review after every week. So we check in every single week. Okay, you're looking good. You're on track. Hey, you screwed up here. You didn't eat all your meals. You missed a cardio here. Or you had a late night there. Why? and we keep that accountability in check. But we're trying to work towards this 3-month transformation where we have the before picture, we have the after picture, or the progress picture, I should say, in this case. So it gives them something to drive for. So I always say these 3 months or 12 weeks are going to be a boot camp. But this boot camp then is going to lead to the rest of your life. So you should be able to go through this hardship over the next 12 weeks. So when it comes to becoming a lifestyle, and a maintenance or continue to progress, that now seems easy, because maybe for the first 12 weeks I'm going to eliminate, let's say, yogurt. There's not going to be any yogurt whatsoever. People love yogurt. And I'm going to eliminate the fruit as well. So you're not going to get any of that. And all the breads, I don't care if it's whole wheat roti, you're not having it. So after the 12 weeks, when I do say you can have a little bit of whole wheat roti now, you can have some fruit in with your yogurt as your dessert, people go, oh, wow, this feels so easy. This is lovely. This is nice. When in eventuality, that would have been very, very difficult if I'd included it in the beginning, because after the 12 weeks, people want to crave the bad foods, the cheesecake or the sweets or the pastries or whatever it may be after the 12 weeks. So that's why I always get them to start with a 12-week transformation. It's great for them to look back on and go, wow, I did that in 12 weeks. Yeah, I had to make some sacrifices and it was hard, but I achieved something that I never believed was possible. And it's great marketing for me as well. It's my marketing collateral to show people, hey, my clients are doing it and this is all online. You could do it too. And, obviously, it's very self-fulfilling. What I love about these 12-week periods is not just witnessing the physical transformation, but the mental transformation, because, they feel so much better, they feel confident, and they start telling other people learn by observation, by seeing that change. And then they're like, hey, what are you doing? What are you eating? I noticed that on a Friday night now, you're not drinking, but you're out doing your cardio. Why is that? And, it gains curiosity, and then through observation we have more transformations.
दोस्तों, ये वीडियो अगर आपको वैल्यूएबल लगा तो इसे लाइक कर अपने सारे दोस्तों से इसे शेयर कीजिएगा। इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब तो आप कर ही लेंगे। चलिए मिलते हैं।